Newsweek magazine. Recently, we have criticized the weekly for taking a sharp turn to the left. Newsweek now employs 8 liberal columnists, 3 conservatives. With us now, the editor of Newsweek, John Meacham, author of the brand new book, American Lion, Andrew Jackson in the White House. You know, I think Andrew Jackson might have shot you. Or he would have winged you.
He would have winged me. You know,
Right.
he had 2 bullets in him. But as a fellow Tennessean, he probably might have just done the
Yeah, he would have grazed you, but he would have sent you a message.
I think you're right. But Jackson believed in a diversity of views. He believed in fighting about what's important and hearing from all kinds of voices. There were 2 covers you didn't show there, both of Governor Palin by herself and Governor Palin and Senator
Yeah, but then
McCain.
we have Biden, and then, look,
Yeah.
but I don't think there's any doubt that the Newsweek magazine has taken a sharp turn to the left in the last 12 months. I've been a subscriber for 20 years, and I've never seen the magazine more left-wing than it is. And people are going to say, why? Why are you doing this? It's not working for your ad rev. It's not working for your circulation. You're alienating traditional-minded people. Why are you doing it?
Well, obviously I disagree with the premise.
You can't, though. 8
yes,
to
I
3?
can.
8 liberals to 3 conservatives? I mean, how can you disagree? You're the editor.
I am
That's
the
not
editor,
fair
and to
balance.
say that I'm taking some sort of far left position is just not true. I'm just not.
8 to 3 doesn't it
8 to
speak?
3 numbers. Look, what we try to do is
Yeah.
offer as much thoughtful commentary as we possibly can.
So that means that there's almost 3 to 1 thoughtful liberal over conservative. See, if you could explain,
Maybe they need more thinking.
if you could explain 8 liberals to 3 conservatives in a way that I could understand it, I'll admit I'm wrong. But that's not fair. You should have 5 to 4 or 6 to 5. All right, I'll give you the extra lib if you want one. If you need one, John, if it makes you feel better, you can have the extra lib.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. What we try to do, and have done for a long time, from Walter Lippmann forward, back we were talking about the magazine in the old days, is try to be as diverse as possible in what we have to say. We're not the Associated Press. Now, you have a view that your program, your network, is fair and balanced, that you have a broad mission. People argue with that. We are not a on the one hand, on the other hand. We try to, over the course of a year, if you read the magazine, I think you would find that ultimately it comes out where you would not be alienated if you were conservative or alienated if you were.
I'm not buying it, but okay. Now, what really raised my eyebrows was the Daily Kos guy you hired. Now,
Right.
the Daily Kos is a hate site, and my line was, is David Duke not available? Did you offer him the job? Because there's no difference between what they do and what Duke does and the Nazis do. That is, they stoke hatred against people they disagree with. Now, you can't deny that, can you? Are you going to sit here and tell me that Daily Kos is not a hate site?
I'm not going to characterize hate or not. I'm going to say that what we did in that moment,
Right.
as a matter of context, is Karl Rove was leaving the White House. I called him immediately when
You
I
hired
heard.
Rove, right, to write on your internet, right?
No.
Your
to write in
website.
the magazine. No.
Once in a while.
No. Karl has written quite often for the magazine. You can ask Karl about it. And we reached out to Kos because he was a player in an important movement within.
But there are so many
Democratic
other
Party.
responsible people on the internet. If you needed a left internet, there are a lot of. But look, the Kos was the one that said Sarah Palin's 15-year-old daughter gave birth to the Down syndrome baby. No proof, just put it out there. Doesn't that disturb you to be in business with a man like that? Doesn't it? See, I would never. That person couldn't appear here or on this network. Couldn't appear. You send your correspondents out to NBC News on the worst smear shows there are. There they are. I see them every night. Ha ha, yuck, yuck. And you know, I've known you for a long time, and you know I respect you, or I used to, because I don't know what's happened to you, and that's why I have you on here. I want you to explain to me how you can be in business with these people. See, I want to like you. I do. But I don't understand.
Well, I enjoy being liked, but I'd rather be running a magazine that shows a lot of different voices.
Like hate voices?
I think
You don't think
that's-
Kos is a hate site?
I think you're going too far with that.
Do you really?
I really do.
You think printing that a 15-year-old girl gave birth to a Down syndrome baby?
I'm not going to.
But that's what they do every day, John.
Okay, what I'm saying is that what we wanted to do was get people who were active in the partisan world to occasionally write and offer their views so that our readers could get some insight into the mindsets of the folks who were ferociously partisan. You can disagree with that. You obviously do. You have a wonderful way, you have a wonderful means to a way to say that. To dismiss an entire magazine, to dismiss everything else because of that, I think is a disproportionate reaction. You obviously disagree, and I understand. But I just can't accept the premise that somehow or another we've sweared off into a left-hand ditch and are spinning our wheels. I just don't think so.
I'll let the folks decide. As always, will you stand-up guy coming in? Good luck with the book. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Reporters.
Whatever the New York Times once was, it is today, not by any standard, a journalistic organization. It is a pro-Obama advocacy organization that every day attacks the McCain campaign, attacks Senator McCain, attacks Governor Palin, and excuses Senator Obama.
The McCain camp is still mad at the New York Times for that front page story alleging that McCain had had an affair with a lobbyist based pretty much on hearsay and not even much of that. Two, the McCain campaign feels the New York Times went over the top reporting about Sarah Palin in the early days of the convention, especially about Palin's pregnant daughter. And three, they see an advantage in taking on the New York Times. A lot of the Republican base can't stand the New York Times, and some of them can't stand John McCain either. So if they can portray the McCain campaign as being under siege from the New York Times, that could possibly help them.
Okay, but the New York Times endorsed McCain early on. They were a friend of his. And the second thing is that even after that hatchet job last February about the lobbyists and all that, McCain gave the New York Times access to him all through the spring and summer. I couldn't figure out why he was doing it. So if McCain's going to let them into the tent, and then you're going to say you don't like them, I don't get it.
Tonight from the New York Times and Newsweek magazine that a lobbying firm at which Senator John McCain's campaign manager, Rick Davis, was once a partner, was paid $15,000 a month by mortgage giant Freddie Mac until last month. Last month? Last month. The McCain camp says that Rick Davis had broken ties with that company. Asked about the reports by NBC's Kelly O'Donnell and CNBC's John Harwood, McCain's campaign senior advisors said this, quote, Rick Davis was never a lobbyist for Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Senator McCain's positions on policy matters are based upon what he believes to be in the public interest, period. The McCain campaign also added, quote, Rick Davis left Davis Manafort, that's the lobbying firm, and stopped taking salary from the firm in 2006. Sunday night, McCain said Davis had no involvement with Freddie Mac.
My campaign manager has stopped that, has had nothing to do with it since, and I'll be glad to have his record examined by anybody who wants to look at it.
So what, if anything, does all of that money paid by Freddie Mac to the firm from which Rick Davis has taken leave add up to politically? Joining us now is Michael Isikoff, investigative correspondent for Newsweek magazine. He's here and reporting this news at Newsweek.com tonight. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you.
We knew before that Rick Davis was involved in a group that had been set up by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to advocate for its interests, chiefly less regulation, that he had been paid $30,000 a month at some point in his past to be involved with that group. What's the new information, and how does it connect to that earlier story?
Well, the new information is this. After that story the other day, which the New York Times reported on, the McCain campaign came back with a ferocious pushback and saying this was a totally unfair, lowball hit against Rick Davis, that he severed his ties to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac back at the end of 2005 when this advocacy group, the Homeownership Alliance, was dissolved. And McCain, as we just saw, said that it was over at the end of 2005. And Rick Davis said he hasn't been involved at all in any activity, housing-related activity, since then. Well, they left out something that, I think a lot of people could find fairly significant, which is that after the Home Ownership Alliance ended at the end of 2005, Rick Davis went back to Freddie Mac and said, I would still like to be paid, according to our reporting tonight on this, and asked for a consulting arrangement to continue. And an arrangement was entered into, according to our sources, basically because of his relationship with John McCain. The payments continued for what? We're told that no work has been performed under this consulting arrangement with Davis Manafort. There's nobody else at Davis Manafort who is doing work for this $15,000 a month consulting arrangement. Rick Davis attended a PAC meeting of Freddie Mac in October 2006. He attended a few breakfasts. But other than that, this money has been doled out month by month until last month. And I think people may look at this and say, well, wait a second, this is an arrangement that Rick Davis set up, and it was still being paid by this entity, Freddie Mac. Now the taxpayers are having to bail out.